too often things that you see whatever martial arts you take a look at is that people separate the physical expression of what goes on here. That fist moving through the air is nothing more than a movement. Because by the way, what we see is we project forward and when that fist hits my face, it's going to hurt.
Our physical movement is a direct reflection, expression of what happens psychologically in the moments of stress, under duress. We need to understand what's going on, why we react, why we look at certain things in a specific ways, and then gradually start addressing how we process the information, why we come to certain conclusions. And I guess you can say that it's partially rewiring of how we process the information. And once we able to gradually rewire ourselves, how we process the information, how we perceive the threats, how we see specific actions, what they mean to us, that often itself will change the way it manifests in our physical movement.
There's no person standing here at a distance, he knows the punch towards my face, and the action is defend yourself, protect yourself. But what happens, the problem with that is when you defend and protecting yourself, he's going to continue with his attack, and you're already far away from being optimal, position-wise and mentally-wise, from doing what needs to be done. You're already going into reactionary mode. And for us civilians, yes, most of the time our first response will be reactionary, because you talk to the guy, all of a sudden he assaults you, so you react. But what we need to learn to understand is that up until it connects, this is nothing more than physical movement of a physical object moving through space from point A to point B. The only point that where it becomes something of substance is point B. Up to that point is something that you can work with. So it's really a choice that you make, whether you look at it as something that will potentially hurt you, or if it's something that I can hurt you.
Habits. Habit is not only a physical occurrence, as in, you habitually move certain way, you habitually raise your elbow to protect yourself from specific attack. Physical work in a high-stress environment is a direct reflection of our psychological state. So habits, while they're being expressed and manifest in the physical ways, they are also direct result of a habitual ways of examining problems. And that needs to be looked at on very, very individual basis. We cannot apply one-size-fits-all approach to that because, again, each individual has experiences, they're programmed. Each individual has different backgrounds, different layering instilled by training that individual may have taken before. And that needs to be examined, analyzed in depth, and very much gradually.
That's the choice we're going to have today. And it cannot be done just by sitting on the couch and go, you know what, I'm going to decide that from now on, everything I see is, I'm going after. You need to be hit. You need to work. Okay? So the first thing we'll do that we're going to do is going to be this simple. We're going to stand close enough to a person can reach you, and you're going to explore a little, not so much what physically happens to your body, but why at some point when maybe he throws it a little bit faster, and you right away feel that tension in your body. Why did it happen? And why that tension is moving away, pushing you away from what you perceive as a threat, as a potential pain, versus you actually reacting and getting where you can do something productive. In martial arts, they call this flinch response, right? Boom, I flinch. The big discussion is, can you make flinch into a productive movement? Because flinch by itself is not productive in the sense that I'm not doing anything to my opponent. My flinch only helps me to maybe create more space where I will get hurt. I move away from the threat. But can we make that flinch into productive forward movement? Okay? It's going to take some slow and very deliberate work on your part to figure out why is it that you start feeling that discomfort. And you're going to need to work with your partner very, very gradually to where he starts slow and go, okay, I'm not afraid of that. So just continue. A little bit faster. And you feel that, all of a sudden your body is almost like, chill to your body. That's the point where you have to find why is it that that reaction happens. So at first you're just going to work on that without your hands doing anything. You're just going to try to find that specific point at where you're moving faster, where your body starts reacting to it. Which is like, oh, now it's moving fast enough to where if I don't move away, it's actually going to start hurting. Get touched. It's okay. Get touched. I'm working relatively slow now. I'm going to throw a little bit faster. You see, flinch. That's what flinch happened. That's what we used to find, where in his body the tension started happening. Even if you flinch, he throws faster. I need to be able to move with the structure. Most of us react how? Feet stay, body moves. Are you in optimal position to fight? Especially if he's a good fighter and he continues. Okay? You pretty much position yourself to be destroyed.
If we train smart, we need to break down our training drills into categories. And it's kind of close circle because it starts with the drills that are diagnostic in nature, whether we're diagnosing big picture problems, whether they're diagnosing, breaking down the big picture into segments, and we're diagnosing each segment, which issues, which problems we can, so to speak, bring up to the surface, and then putting it all back together, taking to the next stage of drills, which can be attribute development, skill development, which can be applicability development. There's many categories that we will speak about in more detail in other mediums. But gradually, once you get to the sparring stage, really what sparring stage is coming back to the original point, which is diagnostics. You diagnose again. So you can do those diagnostics again in the big picture as in free flow sparring. If you have ability to truly self-reflect on the mistakes that you make, on the things that didn't go right, yet again, you break down that big picture into separate segments, into a problem areas that you find out through diagnostics of sparring, and go through the cycle again. And it truly is never-ending cycle.
Your flinch should be from your feet. Okay? I'm moving with my feet. I'm moving with my structure. I'm not moving this and then I fix with my feet. And then gradually what we'll work on is that my flinch is going to be moving forward towards it, not towards it, because that's where the fight ends, close. Standing far away, what can we do? Okay, maybe I can give him black eye. Maybe I can split his lip, maybe I knock his tooth out, but will I finish the fight? Not against the fight. So you need to develop ability when something comes to actually, don't miss the purpose, right? So one more thing, guys, it's very important for the guy who throws the punches to be honest. We're not working fast now, we're not trying to hurt people, but don't do this. Don't miss the person. Hit the person where he is. But also don't do this, because work slow, you start hitting, you start missing moving, and your fist chasing you. That's called heat seeking. Okay? It works with missiles when you chase the plane. But generally speaking, when you throw the punch, if you throw the punch full speed, very few people can change direction in a good way. But that's what comes out is your competitive nature.
Movement is not the vehicle to deliver predetermined actions. Movement is the fundamental action that, based on that movement, based where you find yourself within that movement, that determines which actions will be taken. Weaponizing the movement means developing ability to move in a free flow state where movement determines your actions once you are in position, be it angle, be it workspace, be it distance, elevation, any other parameters within the fight. That movement determines which actions will take place, as opposed to vice versa, where predetermined actions, they kind of guide and shape what kind of movement has to be applied in order to bring those predetermined actions to fruition.
Shoulders are relaxed, not driving, so like the hip was small, thighs, hips.